don't decide what's non-negotiable in your life, you still give things up, you just don't notice when it happens. I think you can feel stuck without really knowing why. You're busy, you're doing everything that you're supposed to. On paper, everything looks fine, but there's this low-level frustration that doesn't really go away. And usually when you dig into things, it's not that you picked the wrong job or you made one massive mistake. You're slowly compromising on things that are important to you without ever deciding whether you should. And that's what non-negotiables are, at least for me. They're not goals, they're not ambitions, they're not things that you would like to do. They are the things that you decide are off the table when it comes to trade-offs. You protect them in advance because you know that as soon as your life gets busy, it's very easy to explain them away. If you don't decide on these things early, you end up giving them up anyway. It just happens quietly and usually with a decent excuse at the time. And for me, being present for my kids is one of those things. And I don't mean in a vague emotional way. I mean practically, like time, being there, being able to make decisions without having to check if it fits into someone else's structure. And that was clear to me way before I had a child. I never wanted something that I deeply cared about to be impacted by a job, a policy, or an annual leave allowance. So I structured my work and then my business around this. That doesn't make it easier. If anything, the safety net is removed. When everything's on you, you've got no one else to blame. You miss something, that's your responsibility. I'd rather deal with that than look back and realize that I'd slowly boxed my way into a life that I never actually wanted just because it was comfortable and familiar. And this isn't about kids specifically. Now, everyone has their thing, but perhaps you've never named it before. It could be freedom, it could be your health, it could be the fact of just not giving away the best years of your life without thinking. The interesting thing is most people will probably know what theirs is, but they don't want to admit it because when they admit it, they have to deal with the consequences, and those consequences are inconvenient. People often tell themselves that they'll do it later, when they've got more time, when they've got more money, when life is just a bit more stable. But later has a habit of never showing up, and life just fills in the space again. A useful way of thinking about this is to jump ahead, not 5 years, much further. If that version of you was looking back, what's the one thing that would genuinely bother you if you hadn't protected it at all costs? Not in a dramatic way, just that quiet, uncomfortable feeling knowing that you compromised something that mattered. That feeling isn't abstract. It's usually very specific, and it's very rarely about money and titles. It's about time, relationships, health, or those decisions you kept postponing because they felt awkward at the time. You don't need lots of non-negotiables. Most people can handle one or two at best, but having none is where you start to drift because every decision becomes a trade-off and then you suddenly lose sight of what you're actually trading for. Life doesn't usually go wrong in one big moment. It just slowly moves in a direction that you didn't consciously choose. And non-negotiables are a way of putting down a marker so that it doesn't happen by accident.